When building in a topographical, challenging community, you have to use retaining walls. Joining us today from Segmental Wall Specialists are Keith and Jim. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thanks.
Well, it's a necessity. It's gorgeous, but it's a necessity. Let's talk about the process of putting a wall in.
Well, the first thing we did was John called us and gave us a site plan and asking us if we could put a segmental wall at his site, but he wanted it to look more natural, like rock or stone. So we gave him a couple options. We gave him a lock and load option. We gave him just a regular standard segmental block option. Then we went to a variegated option, and then we said, okay, here's one that looks natural.
So Keith, from an engineering standpoint, how do we get started? I mean, how do you determine how high the wall needs to be? How do you determine how far setback it needs to be from the road? How do you get involved?
The development package is the site plan that has all the grading, where the lots are going to be located. That is usually prepared in advance. And we can make some recommendations that might help to have the walls work better on the site, but generally that is information that we get right from the start. And then we design the wall structure to meet the needs of the site grading and the house locations and utilities. What are the specific engineering characteristics of the block we're using? Jim had mentioned a bunch of different block systems, so that has to be taken into account. The soils that are there on the site, that's very critical to the nature of the wall, and drainage in particular is very critical to any retaining wall.
So guys, we know that you do segmental walls or retaining walls, but I know that you guys also have other products. What else do you do?
We do all types of hardscapes products. Pavers, permeable pavers. Obviously we do retaining walls. We're getting into a little bit of the pond walls. A number of types of hardscape products we'll do.
Now, gentlemen, we were talking earlier today and you mentioned the phrase value engineering. Why don't we expand on that just a little bit?
Site plans are prepared by a traditional civil engineer, and they're interested in locating all the houses and utilities and roads on a site so that they fit, within the topography of the site and the grading and all of that, making sure everything drains properly. And what they'll typically do is they'll just say, we need to put a wall here. And they do give some thought as to how that might affect the site, but they're generally not wall designers.
Sure.
And so it might not be the easiest place to build a wall or the most cost-effective place to build a wall. So when we get a site plan, we take a look at that, we start doing the CAD work, where we can kind of lay everything out, start designing it, and come up with structural solutions that might be a little bit different than most contractors are able to provide with their in-house estimating. Since we have in-house engineering, we can come up with a lot of different structural systems, a lot of different types of facing looks to make one site look the same, even though the structures might actually be dramatically different once you get behind the face of the wall.
Let's talk about company just a little bit. Jim, you started the company with your wife. Let's talk about that.
We started the company in 1994. It was my wife, my father-in-law, and brother-in-law. Started with one crew, and I think now we have 10 crews. We went from our townhouse to a pretty good size office with shop, yard, etc.
10 crews, I imagine you guys can get a lot done in a week, a day, whatever John needs, and possibly any of the other clients.
Yeah, that's one of our advantages. We went from having one Bobcat to having 16 Bobcats to mini excavators to full 70,000-pound track hoes, bulldozers, whatever you need, we pretty much have in the yard now. So we can go in and out and get the job done.
And that's what's important to a builder like John. He wants this community to basically go off the way it's supposed to go off. There can't be hitches. And so if you guys have the right amount of staff and the right amount of equipment, this gets done on time.
Yeah, and the other advantage we have is we're a design build team. If you get into a project where all of a sudden we have to raise a wall, or if there's site conditions we didn't know, we have our own engineer that will come in and help with the county and help get permits pulled and get the job done.
And so Keith, when did you get involved with the company?
About 5 years ago, I've been in the design build retaining wall business as an engineer for about 10 years. I'm a licensed engineer and got my license about 10 years ago. And I've always preferred working with contractors as opposed to working in an engineering firm. I had done a design for a big box home supply store in Manassas, and Jim was the contractor who was awarded the contract to build that wall. That was right about the time that I went out on my own. I got to work with Jim, got to work with the company, recognized the quality of work that they did, the attention to detail. We hit it off right away and realized that we were a team that could work together. And so we've built that relationship over the last 5 years to where now we're really working exclusively together, unless that there are some unusual circumstances. then we work together from bid all the way through to permitting, construction, and finalizing everything and getting all the owner occupancy permits. We do everything from start to finish, and it really helps for me as an engineer to know that the quality of construction that I'm working with, I know all the workers on the crews, I know the foremen, I know what they're capable of, I know Jim's attention to detail in his operation, and it really makes me feel good that I've got a quality construction team working behind me, because when I put my stamp, my engineering seal on the drawing, then I'm on the hook for that, and if it's any contractor, then I might lose sleep at night, and I don't have to worry about that with Segmental walls.